I wish I felt safe everywhere too, to let the kids in me out, to let other parts of me out and interact in the world. But I don't think that's the world that we live in. So even putting aside that I am really obviously queer in a homophobic, transphobic world, and then there is misogyny. I'm perceived as a woman, and I've experienced that too. And I am neurodivergent on multiple levels, and people often aren't good with that. The whole reason that I am DID, that I have dissociative identities and parts of me, is because I'm a torture survivor and a rape survivor, and it was ongoing, repeated from my childhood for years and years later, and I don't feel safe in the world. And those parts of me were to help me cope and exist and live in a world that wasn't safe for me. And the torture went on for most of my life. I did used to switch in and out, even like in sentences or partial sentences between like kids and adults and many different parts of me, freely as a teen and in later years. But I had a partner who was very abusive and who was ashamed of the kid parts of me being out in public. And she tried so hard to make sure that the kids in me were not presenting in public, were not being out in public. And that led to me having a lot of shame about it and also pushing them down more in public. That's something I had to learn to do. And I don't think that there's a lot of acceptance or understanding in the world for people who are different than normal or neurotypical people, for people who do have many parts of themselves. There's also a lot of stigma about DID, and maybe that is lowering a little bit as more and more people come out and talk about it freely, but there is stigma. And then there's also, I am afraid of psychiatric institutions. My abusers used to threaten all the time that I would be locked up in institutions or jails. Like, part of their programming, part of the mind control was the torture and abuse, and to make me feel like I couldn't speak out about any of the abuse and torture. But it's made parts of me really scared of the psychiatric institutions and of how people will perceive me and of what they might do. I have a few friends who I can be freely myself with, like having the kids come in and out, mother parts, so many other parts, and it is such a relief, and it is good. And I also have that with my therapist, like close friends and chosen family I'm good with. And then a few new friends I've tried that with, and it's been okay, and well, just a little bit out. And that's also a relief. But in the general world, walking down the street, having kids come out and make noises, which they did again this morning. A kid in me was like doing a little bit of a pain sound and a moaning sound. And then I'm looking around and I see someone coming towards me as I'm walking. And I don't think other people are going to understand. And I want to be careful about that out in the world when I don't feel safe and when I haven't been safe historically. But with people who I trust, that's a different story. With people who I trust, I will move in and out of parts of me freely.